Hello and welcome to the War Report. I am your host, Cyrus, here by Quan and joined by a very, very special guest, the man that has produced so many of your favorite podcasts, Wrestle Rap, the Renee Young Oral Sessions podcast. I forget the name of the Carmela and Corey Graves podcast. It's like
Bear with us.
Bear with us, okay? I had bear, and then nothing followed up on the rest of the brain. My brain just flatlined. Emilio Sparks, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Good. I also produce Talkin' Shop as well.
Yeah.
So with the Good Brothers, Gallows, Anderson, and Rocky Romero. So I'm busy.
Busy and booked, man. Glad you can make it.
This is early for me because I was hoping like, oh man, I'm going to bed super late because I had two deadlines that I had to meet. And I texted Cy early this morning, and I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be up by noon. But then I woke up to use the bathroom, and I was wide awake. And I was hey.
By the time I replied, you're just like, I'm already up.
I'm already up. So let's just go. And he was like, great, let's do it. So here we are, man. Thank you, guys. This is fun. I'm excited to be here. I'm a avid listener of what you guys do, so.
All right. Thanks for all the support, man. And it was fun when I came by to talk about Power Rangers and stuff on Wrestle Rap. That was fun.
Well, that's the thing. We have zero desire to ever really talk about pro wrestling. It's just trying to be a Michigan of just things that we want to talk about now. At the end of the day, that's it. If we could shoehorn in maybe 10 minutes of wrestling now, that gets your fix. But honestly, we just want to bullshit about Power Rangers and Lucifer and what we're eating and whatever, man. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you can go on the Wrestle Rap feed and go listen to that episode. I think
it's good.
It's some really good stuff. We talked about the women's division and CM Punk stuff, and I guess we'll get into some debuts that happen on AEW. But first, Tony Khan's comments on the potential Tuesday night NXT move. I read these quotes and I'm just like, yeah, I don't really see the I don't see the losing aspect of this. Like we talked about it a little bit last week. Like NXT will be moving for NHL, but when NHL is over, will NXT just move back to Wednesday nights?
Right. See, that's the thing. As somebody that worked there, they don't lose, and they never will. Okay, yeah. Even if it's not good, it'll become good. Mm-hmm. It's just over time. Revisionist history sometimes, or just the powers that be, or sometimes when it happens, it happens. It honestly does go down to maybe what the network dictates because they do pay a ton of money.
Yeah.
But I also think, I think it also kind of has something to do with getting shellacked in the ratings each and every week.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of losing, I don't really think it's an L. They're two distinctly different products with two distinctly different fan bases. You know, one has been running in the early days when it was on Hulu during FCW, you know, so there's already a pacing and an ethos attached to it. And here you have a new company that started up and on a network that's very happy with what's going on. So much so that you're getting crossover appeal with the NBA on TNT. Mm-hmm. I don't see it as, like Tony says, as a loss. I think it's just, you know, now we don't have to worry about people switching back and forth. And, you know, I think we can get even more critical of the product based on what our viewers dictate on social media. So if something doesn't go right now, or we don't like something, we don't say, well, Finn Balor and Adam Cole got into a war of words, so that's why people were watching. No, now you can really finite the details of what goes on with your product and really look at it as, okay, this was wrong. So double audio is playing from an NBA game. People went over and watched NXT. Okay, it's not because the match was bad. It was because the audio wasn't syncing up and it was out of whack. Okay, so I'm going to go over there until they correct that. So he's like, you see what I mean? So it's not, I think Tony's right. It's not about wins or loses. I think it's more about just now understanding and cultivating your content for your specific fan base.
Yeah. Quan, got anything to add?
I think Emilio covered it, but
Yeah.
just from a personal standpoint, I think it's just going to be so much easier for, obviously for fans like us, we're going to watch both shows. For me and you as Pacific Cyrus, we got to watch both shows within,
Yeah.
that night. So by the time I usually alternate which show I watch first and which I watch second. So by the time I'm watching the second show, I'm halfway out of it and I'm
Yeah.
not going to be as attentive. So, I mean, honestly, switching to Tuesday, it's a win-win for everybody in my eyes. And like Emilio said, you can really nitpick at what was working for the show because there's no, oh, this is happening on that show, so I'm going to switch to that. Like you can sit and watch both shows with direct attention. There's nothing, even if you look at your
Yeah.
timeline. Because if I'm looking at my timeline, I'm tweeting about NXT, and then the rest of my timeline tweeting about AEW,
Which happens fairly often.
which happens often. I'm not sure of the exact numbers, but AEW seems like it gets more social interactions online, at least on my timeline.
I would say it gets it first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Yeah, I think there's a latency period
Yeah,
in regards to everybody who watches AEW live, including myself. I won't watch NXT. I will wait the next day
Yeah.
because it's on my DVR.
yeah.
So I have a question for you two. Do ratings even matter anymore because
No.
of the way we collect the data and the way that the data is now sent to us? You're talking about when Alvarez tweets out like the number. Yeah, that's a quantitative thing, but that's just who watches it on Wednesday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Sorry.
think if there was a total viewer thing that like he tweeted at the end of the week, I think that would make more sense, or like
Right, because
do
now
a
you
bigger
got to
impact.
right, because now you have to factor in also all the DVRs as well. So
DVRs,
DVRs,
YouTube
YouTube's.
clips.
YouTube
Yeah.
clips, like that's all the data. So you need all of that to really say who's taking an L. And to be honest with you, none of them are taking an L in terms of who's watching because there's so many eyes on the product on the back end of the analytics that we don't know.
So many people looking at the product, and then WWE kind of getting everybody's eyes on wrestling once again, despite ratings plummeting for Raw and SmackDown, which is
Right.
interesting.
It is listen, it's an interesting concept to see, but that can say, well, why are the ratings plummeting? Okay, well, listen, during football season, it's over. You know what I mean? Like specific things like, the NBA finals or the playoffs or, MLB playoffs, the numbers are going to fluctuate up and down. It's not 1999 anymore. You know what I mean? And then it's like it's not also like the early aughts where they're pulling 8 million views on for Friday Night SmackDown. It's different now. Yeah, they're on network television, so I think there's more of an impotence to have a greater share. But also, again, at the end of the day, I think these big networks know that it doesn't matter anymore because they also have these streaming sites. So like they also know like you're paying for the content, so we're cultivating an audience for you. It's basically like a giant Patreon to a degree because now you're going to get Peacock, and not only are you going to get WWE, but you're going to get everything else on Peacock. So, but WWE is just the added bonus for the wrestling fan.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. So when it comes to like things like that, I think that's where we have to really start to separate, being marks who are into a ratings war and then being real like critical journalists as I throw up the air quotes in regards to
or just
how you
being
actually break
honest.
this. Right. You have to be honest. And Quan makes a really good point where my timeline is inundated with a ton of NXT or a ton of AEW, right? My timeline's more based on AEW because that's the show that I think a lot of individuals watch in real time.
Yeah.
And I think also, and it's not even who has the more rabid fan base because I think both are pretty equal. And I think there's definitely a line in the sand with who watches NXT and who watches Dynamite. Me, I'm going to Dynamite first because I enjoy Dynamite Live. There's something to me, it's special about watching and sometimes tweeting about Dynamite Live where I can sit and I can fast forward through NXT if I'm not really feeling it,
Yeah.
but that comes with storyline and presentation with a lot of it, like Raw and SmackDown.
Oh, we don't. I don't do
It
that.
like you watch them and you think, okay, this one's not being pushed properly. This storyline's really weird. They're dragging this one out, or this dude or this girl ain't getting pushed. So why do I want to sit each and every week live and watch this when I can just
Yeah.
fast forward to the stuff that I like? So again, it's
And
literally curating your content.
yeah, it's all curated content because that's kind of like some of the feelings that I have about AEW. But last thing on this topic is that Cody was asked about the same thing as well on this topic about the potential move, and he's like, you know, it's good for both of us, and I think that is the right mindset to have more than yes, we won. They're the biggest loser. Throw pyro parade and all that stuff. It was just like anything could happen when the NHL season is over. This will do good numbers for both of us. And if NXT, does amazing on Tuesdays, they might not even look at Wednesdays ever again. So,
Which I think it will. I think it will do
oh,
very well
absolutely.
on Tuesdays. It's its own home, it's its own eyes.
Yeah.
I watch Impact on Tuesday, so there's no way. Like I watch because I like it. I like
Yeah.
Impact. But if they did it at 10 p.m., I would watch
Yeah.
NXT 10 p.m. But
Yeah.
it's just a matter of like, okay, we have this network at our disposal. They're gonna let us do whatever we want because outside of Crisley Knows Best and Chicago PD and whatever else is on there,
I miss Modern Family before NXT.
so do I. Right, I miss Modern Family too. Like they don't really air it that much anymore. That's how I got my fix on Modern Family.
Yeah.
Now it's just straight up Steve Austin after Roar. But it comes down to like, hey, now we have this own night. It's unique. It's insulated in its own little bubble, where now the eyes are on it. You can legitimately watch. You can watch this. At any given point of the week now, wrestling's on. AEW has what is it? Elevation Dark on Monday. Then they have Dark on Tuesday. Then they have Dynamite on Wednesday. So they have 3 solid days of programming. And to me, the future has always been the streaming platforms on YouTube and Twitch. I think those social channels are very, very important. And I think now bigger companies are really understanding the value of those companies. And then you have Monday Night Raw, NXT Tuesday nights, and then you have SmackDown on Fridays, right? And then whatever else they air on Peacock or whatever other properties.
There is literally wrestling for the whole weekday, and then
Absolutely.
and on a good week, you get the crazy amount of stuff on your weekend.
Right, and you're not even counting Impact on Tuesdays New Japan Strong on Fridays, which to me is the best storytelling and best wrestling right now. So if you don't subscribe to New Japan World, my suggestion is get on that because Strong is a very, very good show.
I got to check it out. I want to see Kenta. I want to see Kenta's run to where he got the briefcase. I think that was
it's cool, man. It definitely tells a story, but then also it shows what the company wants to invest in a cat like Jon Moxley because they easily could have took the title off of him.
Yeah, I think that would have been the best decision since he can't necessarily go over, but
not necessarily. Because look at what they have in terms of product wise with Strong. So they want to build an American television show for their American audience, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's hard to follow and the time difference is crazy when you really want to watch a big pay-per-view from New Japan. I know that if I don't take a nap at in the afternoon to be ready for Wrestle Kingdom, Road to Dantaku, New Year's Dash, or whatever. And let's be honest, if you're not a die-hard New Japan fan, you're only watching 4 shows a year.
Yeah.
So you could go back and you could watch everything on New Japan World. But again, to sit down and watch Strong on Friday, it's like, cool. This is something that I could sink my teeth into. It's quick. It's using a ton of new talent that probably would have not had an opportunity if there was not a global pandemic.
Yeah.
So you have guys that come out of the LA dojo who are primed and ready. Clock Connors. You have Carl Fredericks. You have the DKC. You have guys like that that are really, really good.
I was really happy to see Gabriel Kidd there.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think he's a fantastic wrestler.
Absolutely. Then you got to see guys like Chris Bay, and you get to see Blake Christensen,
Leo Rush.
I mean, you got to like Chris Dickinson, the Regal twins. You know, and then you literally have veterans and player coaches like Rocky Romero come on, and Kenta, and John Moxley. So my thing is this: brand identity is huge because John Moxley is probably one of the most important figureheads in professional wrestling on screen, right?
So outside of the WWE, yeah.
I think in terms of notoriety, they go, oh my God, that was Dean Ambrose. Oh, what is he doing now? You know, but you're gonna watch John Moxley be the bridge to New Japan for AEW, and you're also gonna see the Good Brothers, who could show up on New Japan and on AEW, but they're also the reigning Impact Tag Team Champions. But you know, guys like Tony Khan and Kenny Omega. Kenny had the original idea and pitched it to Tony, and Tony liked the idea, so they ran with it. But who do you have to make it work? Well, all right, obviously, you know, Kenny is going to be one of the Impact players, but the reason it works is because you needed a guy like John Moxley to push it through. It gives it like a legitimate, credible thing, you know, outside of the magic that is Kenny Omega. Because to me, I don't think it gets any better than Omega. I think Omega is a really special dude, and I know people have been poo-pooing on his heel run, and to me, you celebrate him and you watch him as a character because you watch him, you boo him, because that's just professional wrestling. But if you were to see what he does and how he's executing all of this interesting shit, like that is something that needs to be applauded. But in regards to that, you want John Moxley as your United States champion because people are going to want to watch John Moxley work, and it just adds like a really cool shine on the belt. So.
Yeah, I can see there, but I also he doesn't show up on Strong as often, but when he does or when he's able to, I think that that'll make the brand shine. I don't know if TNT lets him do it or not, or whatever they decide to let him do. But one last topic for In the Trenches: NXT Stand and Deliver 2-night takeover. I know, Quan, last week you're just like, oh, that's a Thursday. How the hell they're gonna manage that? But April 7th and April 8th, 2 nights. One will be on USA and the other one will be on the network / Peacock. And I saw a lot of people not big fan of this, but I was just like, you guys were going absolutely crazy when Wrestle Kingdom was 2 nights and begged WrestleMania to be 2 nights. NXT takeovers are always great, so I think having 2 nights of this is going to be fantastic.
I think for international fans, I'm not sure what the Peacock deal will entail, because I know the second night is like exclusively for Peacock, so that might be some people are upset. At least that's what it sounded like on the broadcast when they were talking.
I don't follow a lot of international folks. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to go in on the folks across the pond, but I personally have not seen that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I don't know what's the case for the Peacock situation overseas. Like, because I know NXT last week, like that was like the first time it was like in Canada on television.
Yeah. So,
but hey, we're not a WWE sponsored podcast here, so I'm just gonna say, if you can't get it on Peacock, you know
the sites, you know what time it is.
Look, I just watch wrestling.
You know what I mean? There's an international. Hey, look. You know what I mean? There's a website out in Laos you can watch the show. You feel me? But
if you really want to watch it, screw Peacock. You know how you can watch these shows.
You know the vibe. But in all seriousness, no. Well, I guess it's not that serious, but like WWE tried to kick our ass that week, bro. There's so much stuff.
Absolutely.
That whole week is insane, bro.
Well, I mean, they got to make up for last year.
For last year, you ain't lying, but
Yeah, they're absolutely going crazy. So
Yeah,
you're getting Monday Night Raw. Tuesday, you're gonna get the NXT. Then
night
another
one.
NXT into Friday SmackDown, and
UK, NXT UK that week, probably. You know what I mean?
oh
On
yeah, that as
Thursday.
well. We normally record on Tuesdays, but we might have to shuffle some stuff around so we can record at an appropriate time.
We'll figure it
Because
out.
I know that takeover is not going to air. Well, it's going to air at the normal NXT time, so that's going to be a little crazy. But Stand and Deliver is looking to turn out really, really well. I think we have our two main events already, and
Yeah.
we'll talk about it when we get to the show. But Stand and Deliver 2 nights. I don't know if they're gonna make this a trend for NXT weekend.
I hope
But
not.
yeah,
Because here's the deal.
2 nights is crazy.
Well, I think also you really stretch your talent thin too.
But
You
there's a
know?
lot of people on NXT.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, but are they ready? That's the question, because you can watch a certain stuff and it's like, ooh, I don't know. Are they ready? I don't know who this person is. Do they have something about it? Like the glory days of NXT for me were in early 2015. And, that it was more based on entertainment factor rather than work rate. Now, that might be crazy because, you guys might be into the work rate stuff.
Yeah,
But
I love the work rate stuff.
But I don't. I want more. Entertainment. Guys like Enzo and Kaz were very, very entertaining. There was a
Mhm.
pageantry to that. Even before his issues, Velveteen Dream.
Mhm.
You were mesmerized by the whole mystique and the entertainment portion of it.
Mhm.
Because here's what you remember in professional wrestling: you remember the intro, and you remember the ending. Everything else in the middle becomes
Yeah,
foggy after a couple of weeks. But to me, I feel they don't have enough characters, as
and
opposed to the main roster. And then when you go up to the main roster,
yeah, you have no
where
character.
where no, where's your identity though?
Yeah, and uh, I think that is the complaint that I still have for Ember Moon.
Right. Like, who is she? She's amazing. She's done everything in
Talented.
NXT. She's done everything in NXT. Now
Yeah.
that they gave NXT Women Tag Team Championships, first off, they didn't need those belts. They didn't need those belts because the Women's Tag Team Championships should have been defended all across everything.
Yes.
NXT UK, NXT, Raw, SmackDown. I don't even care if they show up on NXT Evolve. Those tag team
Mhm.
championships should have been the worker title, like the Intercontinental Championship was in the 80s and the 90s. But
I
now it's like they have way too many titles.
It's getting
I
to like New
truly
Japan
agree.
level. Yeah, it's like damn near at New Japan level. Just like so many belts. Do we need that? Like I understand, they have a lot of women they just signed, and they needed something for the women to do. But like you said, they could have just had, you could have had
Just
Shane and I come down to NXT,
or
every couple of weeks.
have Raquel and who's called Kai
Dakota-
go up, or for their
Yeah,
next challenger, like
Right.
go back up there with Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Give Shotzi a taste of what the main roster stage looked like, for those bright lights, and go back to NXT and be like, wow, I was really up there.
Well,
I
but you
want to
also
get
have
back
to
there. So
right. But I also think now that's not how they think of it anymore.
yeah,
I think they think of it as a solidified third brand, which kind of is confusing because if it isn't your farm club system no more, what are you doing to develop and get your talent ready? Like, you know what I mean? You have
yeah,
you have this facility, and you have like the shows locally in Florida.
yeah.
But now, what are you doing? What's the onus on? Is it to teach like Gigi Dolan and all these other cats that just got signed, or is it are you just presenting these performers with another platform to work? Like, here
uh,
you go. Now you have NXT Evolve. We're
mhm.
gonna need where you might not be ready for NXT, which is 2 hours on USA, but we're gonna put you here because we have you paid.
I
Okay, like where do you go?
I
And
I,
the
fe-
and who stands out?
I feel like since a lot of people do have that I wouldn't say complaint, but criticism that NXT isn't necessarily like super duper developmental anymore. that's going to be that caters to those people that want to see the people like develop, like truly develop, like starting from scratch to like the finish.
Which essentially was the beauty of NXT originally when it was on Hulu and then it went to the hour on the network. Like that was the important thing to me, to see everybody grow and develop. Like I wanted to see, American Alpha grow out of nowhere. I wanted to see someone like Carmella who just got signed and started to work her way in. Alexa Bliss, the Shield. Even watching the Wyatts back in the day on the FCW Hulu days.
Yeah.
You were seeing that. To me, one of the most richest characters in NXT right now. Well, there's two. I think Shotzi Blackheart in the women's division is just special.
Yeah.
And I think Cameron Grimes, breakout star of the year right now.
Incredible.
Because, a rich hillbilly investor in stocks and cryptocurrency
Insanity.
is so smart. It's so smart. Now I don't know if he did that in part in his real life where he wanted to play around because maybe he had some cash, but so smart that they did that and that it was him. I think it was perfect. But that's who stand out to me. So now you have all this, you have all these bodies. So now what do you do with these bodies if they're not ready for NXT? And they signed some really dope professional wrestlers. I think Priscilla Kelly is super talented. Now she goes by the name G Dolan. I think she is super talented. So where do you plug Priscilla in? Where do you plug Gigi in? Do you plug her in Evolve, NXT Evolve? Or is she that good where you can plug her in to NXT?
Yeah.
And then you got to figure out, you have a Taya Valkyrie.
I'm just going to say that. You got Taya right there.
So now why are you putting Taya on NXT when your women's division on Monday Night Raw is hemorrhaging for talent? Well, you put her on there.
Yeah.
I agree as well. I definitely think that she definitely should have just well, I don't want to say just like shot to the main roster, but I really do think that she is very talented and people want to see, the developmental process. And I think that Taya could really help a lot of those women get there before, she eventually go. Like she could be in NXT, but she doesn't like necessarily have to be there long. Like, I don't think like being on NXT is like personally a bad thing for the most part.
No, I think it's not. But let me ask you this then. If you were to develop contracts with these performers, right? Do you give them the option if they're going to make really good money, depending on whatever the terms of the agreements are, right? Wherever they came from, whatever their pedigree is, and they make really good money. I'm just saying, if you're going to make really good money.
Yeah, of course.
Should there be the option? Well, if you're going to go on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT, you get to choose. Because the pay scale is going to be the same. Like you're going to get this is going to be X amount like against your downside. So like where's the option? Where do you go? But I also think the main roster gets has a stain on it because when certain call-ups happen, they flounder. Like Keith Lee floundered, but Damian Priest is flourishing.
I don't think Keith Lee floundered at all.
Well, I mean, listen, if you look at where it's going with Keith should be one of the premier guys and one of the focal points on Raw, and he's not even on TV right now.
He's hurt.
Yeah, I know that. He's hurt, but like he can't cut promos. You had Drew, who is even, I get it, he was the champion, but he's cutting promos when he had COVID, and he was gone for 2 weeks. You mean tell me we can't have Keith doing like pre-tape stuff? I mean, because Keith is that good, and you don't see a guy like Keith Lee in a WWE ring. He has a lot of quality. He's a big guy that can fly.
I don't know like how severe the injury is.
Right. But you can't tell me that they didn't mess him up.
I wouldn't say they messed him up. I just think it was a bad situation, and it's like a really snake bitten situation where he got, he was in contact with COVID.
Right.
Like soon as the train started moving, contact with COVID, he came back. The train started moving where he was supposed to be at Fastlane, and then he got hurt again.
I think
I think they mismanaged him. And then they were like, "Oh shit, now we got to get it right. All right, now we got Damian Priest. Let's put him with Bad Bunny."
very smart move.
Great move, and I don't know. I think that was always going to be in the plan because I don't see them putting Keith Lee with Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
So I would say the Keith Lee situation is very unfortunate. I would say he had an amazing debut. I wouldn't say they floundered him, but yeah,
I don't think the debut was amazing at all, and I also think that having no crowd and it's just digital screens really like hinders these things.
I'm praying that Rhea Ripley does well on the main roster, but let's talk about a little bit about NXT.
The man who reigned as the NXT champion, the first WWE Universal Champion, the Prince Finn Balor.
Finn Balor being champion makes this the most important title in the game.
And finally, Triple Crown champion and the longest reigning NXT champion in history, Adam Cole.
Finn Balor's very, very talented, very good. He's not Adam Cole.
What do you want to talk about on NXT? What are we discussing?
The women tag title debut, I think that was fantastic. Showing just all the women that they have on the roster, I think that was fantastic. I can't wait to see all of them eventually get their time to shine and debut, whether if it's NXT or NXT Evolve. They seem to be giving Zoe Stark like a lot of burn, so that's very interesting to see that she just debuted. But a lot of these former these Shimmer alumni, like I don't think they should just be doing just like or like just in the background just working out. Like they definitely should be on the show because they are some seriously talented women in Shimmer. So
oh my god, if you can do a documentary on all the women that came from Shimmer and now are really big deals, they don't get their flowers. That company, it's a great company,
and that's why I love to give Shimmer all their praises. Like there's so many people on the roster now that is part of Shimmer, and I think that's fantastic.
They got the strongest women's division in the game.
Oh, definitely.
And you can even say you could put that against the main roster. They got the NXT women's division is just strongest in the game.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I think these belts, the physical belts themselves, I think they look great.
Yeah.
I personally like the main roster belt design a little bit more.
I like the NXT belts more.
Yes, my timeline seemed like more towards the NXT belts.
It's on brand for sure. It's totally on brand.
Yeah.
Which
definitely on brand.
Big old NXT right though? Do they need them though? That's the question.
I definitely think they did because same thing that happened for the men's division when there was only one belt and they were just like, okay, let's spice it up by adding the North American. I would prefer a singles title. I'm not a big tag team wrestling guy. I would prefer like a singles title, but like since it seems like nobody's taking off Io Shirai, it just definitely gives something for a lot of the women to work towards. And I love when they debuted the titles, they were just like, yeah, that main roster booking bullshit, we're not having that here anymore. Here's the titles that you rightly deserve.
Right.
And I thought that was so funny that like they said that, and then Wade Barrett continued to like really harp on that during the tag team title match. Like I thought that was very interesting.
Did you guys have a problem with them doing the title switch the hour within the reign? Was that
not at all? No, because if we're coming from a construct of combat sports, and if they're going to treat professional wrestling as a combat sport, I don't mind that somebody gets slumped an hour into their reign, and then you have somebody new, and then those champions,
a team who deserves it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like both of them deserve it. And I thought that was great. But later on the show, Raquel Gonzalez just like summed up how I feel. Like there's only one first.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if it was only like 5 seconds, a week, and some change. Like the history books is gonna say that they were the first.
Right, but don't you enjoy the chase more than anything else? So now you want to see, Raquel and Dakota chase those bad boys.
Well, from what it looks like Raquel's going for Io, which it should have happened months ago since she pinned her.
Yeah,
right. War games.
We were wondering like when are they gonna follow up with this, and I think they were just buying their time because they needed some tag teams for the Dusty Cup.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like, she lost the titles and now she's going to be facing Io Shirai. Is this really a loss?
No, not at
Exactly.
all. They're just a tool in the storyline to get
yeah.
your agenda moving forward. That's
And
it. And now you can say she's a former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, so now it adds more legitimacy to what she's done.
Yeah. So the accolades, no matter how long the accolades are there. And speaking of Io Shirai versus Toni Storm, how'd you feel about the match?
I love Toni Storm. I think she's super talented, man.
Yeah,
I mean, and we got a better version of that triple threat match when it was just them now, And this is no shot to Mercedes Martinez. I think she's great, but there was a weird pacing in that triple threat match. And it didn't really highlight how good those three workers are. So now we get to see Toni versus Io in a more confined space to allow them to just really work with each other. You know what I mean? So, and I want to see Io also work Mercedes in a singles again.
Yeah, I would love to see that as well.
I want to see that because it's like that's where you're really going to make it work. I think Toni's super talented, but it's like, all right, now where do you go with her? Like she did it now. Now, like that was the storyline. That was the continuing storyline. Now it sets up for Raquel, but now what does Toni do? Okay, now that they have women's tag team championships,
who does she get as her partner?
Right, exactly.
Her Mercedes can get right back to it.
I think so.
Partners.
I think that would be cool. Just bring back some of these tag teams that let it not just be they were just tagging for the Dusty Cup. Like let them come back together and possibly win the titles.
And the thing with Toni is that she's super young. Mercedes has so much experience. How would it hurt for her to hang around Mercedes for a couple months, really pick her brain about everything she's been through in her career? How long she wrestled? Like 20 years.
Yeah, just learn and build off each other.
Yeah, as long as Toni's been alive, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that's important to see. Like, you know what I mean? You have this veteran who has this wealth of knowledge. All right, let me take you under my wing. Let me show you how to. This is how we should work.
And I think that's how NXT is doing a lot of their developmental now. Is like having these veterans just work with these younger people and then, just soaking up that knowledge from that said veteran. But with NXT Evolve coming up soon, you're going to see more of like rougher product with an asterisk because a lot of these people that they did sign are very talented and have been working it for a long time. But yeah, whatever happens for Toni Storm next, I think it'll be interesting.
Am I bugging to say this? Is the women's division better than the men's right now in terms of what you want to watch?
Yes.
Title-wise. And I want to see Io main event a takeover as the champion. I want to see that more. I think that's more of a compelling storyline because those girls brought it last night, man. Like they brought it. It was dope from start to finish. It didn't feel too long. It wasn't like, because when you watch a match, when it feels too long.
Yeah.
like once all right, there's the hope spot. Oh damn! But then like 10 minutes, we get 10 more minutes after the hope spot. Nah, I'm out. Like,
well, when you're thinking like you're looking at your watch and be like, oh, they just did the spot where they both knocked each other out. Yeah. Damn, that adds like that's a +5 on
right. Right. Oh, they went three commercial segments, and there's still more time.
No,
all right, when's the go home?
It was absolutely the perfect length. I thought this was a much different match than they had at the Mae Young Classic, but I thought this match was good nonetheless. And now the other title match that there was a lot of title matches on this show, and I thought that was very fantastic.
Very strong episode.
Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon versus wait, no, we already talked about that. My fault.
You talking about Finn?
I'm so sorry.
He losing it, bro. It's all good. Finn Balor, Adam Cole, a banger. We knew what it was gonna be. when we came into. I love this match. Finn's in his bag right now, man. I'm sorry. In my eyes, personally, he's the best wrestler in the world right now. No, I don't think anybody touching him. As of March 11th, 2021.
In WWE or just the landscape of professional wrestling?
In wrestling right now.
Wrestling period.
Right
I definitely
now.
think that Finn Balor and Phoenix are
Phoenix
like
up there.
your 1A.
I think
would
it's
be.
right. I think it's Phoenix and Kenny Omega, really.
We'll talk about that when we get into our Revolution review.
Let's get into it right now. Let's get into it.
I have some thoughts. Wait, hold on. There's a lot of big stuff that happened for the Adam Cole and Finn Balor match. The match was very good. Kyle O'Reilly made his return. Dressed as Machine Gun Kelly, which was cool.
He went in Triple H closet for the G Invest. Come on.
He went out there, gave Adam Cole hell. It seems like now Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole are going to be out of the title picture and have their own thing, while Finn Balor and Karrion Kross do their thing.
Absolutely should be the thing, man. I think. You know, one of the issues that I take claim to, and they strip Kross for a shoulder injury.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Balor breaks his jaw. You don't strip Balor. Balor should have lost to Kyle O'Reilly, so Riley could have had one in the clip. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Adam Cole could have been green with jealousy. And then Finn could have won it back, and then you could have saw everything that we've seen transpire between them now. And I think it would have added more to, well, you had the thing that I want, and then I, as Adam Cole, your leader, better wrestler than you, the man, you wouldn't be here if it wasn't for me. You're carrying around the thing that I made relevant in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would have been a better storyline than just super kicking everybody.
As far as, you know, stripping the title, like they're very loosey goosey with the rule. So like when I first started watching like years ago, and I was just like, oh, there's like a 30-day clause where you have to defend the title. Like this is when they were on Miz's ass for not defending the Intercontinental titles for a little bit, and I was just like, hey man, we haven't seen Brock Lesnar in a minute. What's up with that?
I think the reasoning they didn't strip Finn is because they had just took the belt off of Karrion. They didn't want to do it like within a month. They were like, we can't do that again.
Yeah, it was just circumstance, but it is what it is.
It sucks. But I'm with you, Emilio. I think the point you made earlier about interim championships, that could have been a good time to say, okay, let's make it interim. You know what I mean? We could have had Kyle O'Reilly even hold the interim championship.
Mm-hmm.
You can still go that same Adam Cole route. They could have had, you know, Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly for, you know, undisputed NXT champion. And then they could have went from there. Same thing. I'm not mad at it. I think either way, where we're at now, I think that these two matches, Cole, O'Reilly, and Karrion Kross, Finn Balor, they're going to be great. They both have stories already built in. This Karrion, Finn. Well, Karrion, Finn, I mean, Karrion's owed a championship.
Yeah. No, what I was gonna say is that so the little mini issue, just like a small nitpick that I have with Finn Balor and Kross, is that this will be for the title, but Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly is the way hotter match because, you know, that story's already been brewing, and Karrion Kross doesn't really have much character, like at all. So they're really going to have to work towards that to build.
He did have a character before. He did. He was supposed to be the devil incarnate. Now he's just some regular dude that wears chinos.
Yeah. I think the match with or what he was doing with Santos definitely humanized him, but now they have to like forge a new character. And I wish they would have like started forging that before he got this title match.
Juan, did they need to forge that? Did they need to forge a new character? Or they could have just let this whole devil... I looked at him as a devil. That's what I looked at him as.
I think they needed to because then it runs in... Like, because before he was like, no selling shit, you know? And it was just like, you know, at some point, like, you're going to have to not be Superman for a little bit. And I think it was really cool that Santos Escobar, who is a cruiserweight, was the one that kind of like brought him down a little bit. Even though he lost, it brought him down to earth, and I think that was cool. I don't the NXT mystical character is always something, and we're gonna see issues with it later with Xia Li, but it is what it is. But let's get into the quick hits, and then we could finally start talking about AEW and everything that happened over the weekend. Jordan Devlin is going to come into NXT next week, and then Santos Escobar is going to have to handle that. I think that's going to be very interesting. MSK return. I'm not sure if the hand injury is still an actual real thing. I every time I hear hand injury, I always think, oh, it's temporary.
You can work around. I mean, low-key, you can work around it. I mean, I don't know the severity of the injury, even if it's a shoot.
But remember when Adam Cole hurt his wrist and he was wrestling with the cast, and they were just
that's what I'm saying. And Dream was doing this. Yeah, Dream was doing the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to, just a heads up now that we're gonna have Jordan Devlin on TV. We understand, the accusations that he had in his personal life going on. So I just want to, reiterate, we don't condone any of that, if true or not.
Yeah.
Anything we talk about Jordan Devlin is all based off of TV storyline and in-ring purposes. Just a forewarning now. We're gonna talk
Santos Escobar is my cruiserweight champion.
That's my
so Jordan Devlin is whatever. Santos Escobar is definitely my champion.
But, that's gonna be a hell of a match, man. Jordan Devlin, I don't know how much of UK you've been watching, but all his cruiserweight matches he's been having, they've been strong, man. So it should be a good match. I'm interested to see where they go with that.
Mm-hmm. Next week, we have they just lined up everything for the next week. We got Theory and Loomis. I think that should be a really good match. Leon Ruff and Swerve, that should be really cool as well. And LA Knight is finally going to have his debut. Show us something, man. He can talk, but let's see that work. I seen him work a little bit in Impact for the Impact Lucha Underground show. That was a long time ago, so I'm not really familiar with how he
can go. He can go.
I hope they give him a really good opponent. I feel like they should just give him Bronson Reed. Let that be his first match, since Bronson Reed wanted to put hands on him.
Let's do it.
Start it out, because I don't know who else it could be.
They could throw Adonis at him real quick to get that match. Just show off.
Give him a light Tony Nese or something. Somebody from 205 Live. Yeah. But we'll see how it goes with the Bronson Reed thing. But that is it for NXT. We're gonna finally get into AEW and talk about what happened on Revolution.
You think you're the Joker? You think this is funny?
No, I don't think he was joking. I think he was really going to try to blow me the King.
There's no way.
I think
he was being the Joker, and you're Batman.
He wanted to blow. I like that, but I think he really wanted to blow me up for sure.
I don't think he's that nuts. 2020.
Look, I don't know who paid for that bomb. I hope Tony
Impact definitely did. You know that.
Impact paid for the bomb. That makes perfect sense.
Well, I think where we want to go.
Yeah.
So let's just go there, and let's just talk about the most talked about thing is
how did we feel about the pay-per-view overall?
I liked it a lot. I thought it was good. It showed a lot. It highlighted so many new talent. I mean, that brass ring match, I mean, it was really good. Scorpio Sky should be a much bigger deal. He's so good. The debut of Ethan Page. Come on, man. One of my favorite dudes to watch work. I think Ethan is so talented. You want to talk about character. He just gets it. He's very good in the ring, but he's a very dynamic speaker. Whether or not you watched him do his Karate Man stuff in Impact or on Talking Shop-A-Mania 2, or even on his YouTube series that he was doing because he was vlogging and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Ethan's very, very good. So I thought that match as a whole really highlighted a lot of cool guys. And then it also planted the seeds for what we've seen on Wednesday with Pentagon and Cody Rhodes. So we got some really cool stuff going on there. I liked the cinematic version of Sting match. I think it was really good.
I thought
You
that
know?
was the best match on the show. I thought, like, I was
Right.
so entertained.
It was really good, and everybody looked good. Sting did what he was supposed to do, which was to elevate the younger talent and make the younger talent stand out. And it also just goes to show, like, hey, in some capacity, I can still go. It's just a matter of now how creative can we get to really highlight all of my strengths and minimize certain weaknesses that come with age. Because at 62 years old, no matter how fit, no matter how mobile you could be, time catches up with you. It's inevitable.
And hopefully they find very, very interesting and creative ways, because Lance Archer got his eyes on Sting, and I am very worried for Sting or how they might do that match.
Right, but I think you could do a lot of mind game stuff with Sting, and I think you could do a lot of mind game stuff with Jake.
Yeah, Sting and Jake dynamic is very interesting.
Right, so I think you minimize Lance talking, and Lance just be the heavy, let him breathe and puff out his chest and be the murderous fucking hawk that he is. And you have Jake cut these promos, and I think you can really do something that is adjacent to a Firefly Funhouse, where it's really like in the brain kind of thing, where you're not maybe seeing a ton of moves, but you're seeing a lot of just like quick cuts and cinematic flashes and just like all these other things, So I'm real curious to see what they do with that. I'm really
if they could pull it off, then I would be down to see it.
I think they can. I think AEW can. Is it 2? Is it 3 cinematic matches that they had? Like, do we consider the parking lot brawl between Best Friends and LAX a cinematic match because of the way it was shot and like certain cuts with certain things? Because if my opinion, like the Stampede match and this, they're 2 for 2 in regards to
I did like the Stampede match.
It was great, man. It was great.
It.
And WWE does it well too, where not everything is so beat to death in terms of like, we have to make cinematic matches. I think given certain circumstances, you want to see some really cool and different stuff, specifically with like a performer. So I think a guy like Darby Allin, who, I mean, come on, that spot through the mirror.
Yeah, that was crazy. Insane.
Literally my favorite spot of Sunday. I love that spot so much. And to mirror or like the window cracking down and hitting him in the back of the head at the end. I'm sorry. I'm a sucker of violence, and that it just made me laugh. It was very slapsticky, and I thought that was enjoyable for me.
Right. It had like a really good levity to it, even though it was something that was serious. It had like a real serious tone. I think the level of violence that they had that night was perfect, even with the exploding barbed wire death match. I think it all worked out. I think one of the weaker notes is the women's division in AEW. I think that I think they're fully invested in Sheeta, which is cool. But I want to know who's going to be the dominant force to try to take that belt away from her. So
it seems like it might be Britt Baker, but they're just tying up the
feud with Thunder Rosa.
Yes, the feud with Thunder Rosa, which they'll be main eventing next week, and I think that's really cool.
I think that's the most important women's match in AEW right now.
For sure.
And I think, and this is no knock to Sheeta, but when you care about a blood feud over the world champion, there's a problem.
Yeah,
it's a huge problem.
I'm saying,
and I think they have a really good women's division that is developing in front of our eyes. Like Ty Conti, she's good. You did not see her enough in NXT to realize how good she was. Then she starts working with the Nightmare Academy, and I think QT and Dustin are really, they're really working these new signees, and they're really working these younger crop of, I'm gonna call them kids because I'm older than them. I'm almost 40. So so you see this next gen. And it's like, then she's coming out and she really stepped it up. Same thing for Anna Jay,
Yeah.
I mean, you have veterans like Serena D who she's great.
I forgot Anna Jay was injured. I'm so sad.
And Serena Deeb's out too.
Yeah,
what?
She's out too.
So
that's
so so you have like certain building blocks and foundations that are hurt right now that okay, but now you get to see a Thunder Rosa who I don't know if she signed, that they haven't really made an announcement that she signed, and I know that she's like,
if she didn't get if she didn't get the graphic yet, the so and so was all it don't count.
Yeah, it don't count. But I definitely think that since Thunder Rosa has shown up, I think the women's division has improved.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's like due to her
Well, it's got-
politicking or NWA's politicking, but they have given her the shine that they just for some reason haven't given to Shida.
Well, I think it also comes down to there's a language barrier with Sheeta. I think she doesn't cut promos.
Well,
So it's like
she can speak English, but
she
they don't give
does.
her a lot of promo time. They only give her
No,
promo time
they
for vignettes or the pre-recorded stuff for like the
Right.
women's tournament and for the vignette before the title match. That she
right,
has.
and what I think
Sunday.
works, and what I think works, and this is why I want my performers who don't speak English to shine in the language that they can crush it in, is because you're going to get a fiery promo, right? Asuka really started to stand out when she started to speak everything in Japanese.
Yeah, just like fuck it, I'm speaking Japanese. Yeah,
I'm
I thought
doing
it was great.
I'm doing it. I thought one of the greatest things that Lucha Underground would do was a majority of the promos that were cut were in Spanish.
Pentagon was a very good promo.
Right.
Lucha.
Yeah,
now
he had
that-
a good one last night.
night, and it was mostly done in Spanish with an English translator. So like I want Sheeta to come out and just ice everybody in Japanese.
Talking shit.
That's what I want. I think that is
I
think it's unique. It's special. It's honest, and I think you will really get the version of Sheeta that we don't see now. So but I think they do have a division that's growing. I think Thunder Rosa is so good that you wanted to put it with Britt because it makes Britt better.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, definitely. And this is crazy because when we were on Wrestle Rap, we were like, we want to see these women shine. And I think AEW since then, which I think it was like around last fall or the start of winter around then, but like stuff has been improving since then, like slowly but surely. But like now we're gonna get our first women main event in AEW, and I think that is a huge leap. As far as like how I feel about some of the stuff on Revolution, I said it before, and this is why AEW doesn't really connect with me all the way, is that I'm not a big tag team guy.
See, I am.
Yeah, so
they have a really good tag team division.
Like I completely understand that my disconnect with AEW is the fact that there's like a lot of multi-man and there's a lot of tag matches, and they like their shining light is their tag division. And that's why I am not the biggest fan of this pay-per-view. There's just a lot of tag matches. I did like the ladder match. I thought it was really cool. Street fight, best match. The Hikaru Shida match, great. I seen better from her in general. I don't think that match was all that great. Quan, how'd you feel before we get into the main event and talk
about the women's match or just the pay-per-view in general?
Just pay-per-view in general.
So it was long.
Yeah.
I had a little problem with the length of the show. I don't think that the Miro Kip Sabian best friends match needed to be on the show. I didn't mind it, but Cyrus, we were talking before the pod, that could have been a Dynamite main event. Which
Absolutely.
I seem like they're going to go
main
to
event.
anyway.
That could have been a pre-show.
I mean,
I was being nice saying that it could have been, but I totally agree. Like that could have happened at any point in Dynamite, and then for this Revolution, we could have gotten the Miro and Orange Cassidy singles match, so they both can just move on.
Please, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen because they're having that arcade cabinet outside the ring, whatever the hell match they're having.
Oh,
point.
Whatever. This is what Miro wants to do.
Hey,
and he's dragging Orange Cassidy down with him.
But besides that, the show was fine. I think personally, I disagree with you, Cyrus. I really like the women's match. I think personally, like besides the street fight, that was my favorite actual wrestling match. That was my favorite actual wrestling
Oh,
match
yeah.
on the show. But outside of that, Tag Royal Battle Royale was fine. I told you about Bear Country. I told you about those guys.
Bear Country. I think
I like them a lot.
Their presentation and how they debuted them was really cool. Debuted on the pay-per-view. I thought they were very interesting. If people tell me that they had a good match on Dynamite or Dark, I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah. But
yeah,
let's get into the main event, because I got some things I want to say.
The main event: Kenny Omega, Jon Moxley, an exploding barbed wire match. I'm just gonna keep it brief. It should have been a light tube death match. I think that would have been a lot more interesting. Then you don't run into this weird rigmarole with who set up the explosives, the placing blame, trying to force these excuses, or really trying to put a band-aid over the situation.
Bro, this is my thing, right?
I think the light tubes would have been cool.
But this is my thing, though. Nobody asked for this match. They didn't have to do this. They chose to do this.
Yeah,
I understand that, like, if you're gonna set off explosive, you could only do it one time. You can't, practice an explosion. Because I have no, expertise in that kind of thing. But I don't think you just practice an explosion. But like, they didn't need to do this. This all could have been avoided. They could have done any match they wanted to do. They chose to do this match. So it's just like, why? If you couldn't guarantee there was going to be a big explosion, why would you do it? Why would you risk that on, people paying $50 for your pay-per-view?
I saw the photos of like the explosion live, like how it looked in the arena. It looked pretty damn good in there.
Did it?
Yeah. Well, just like the photo from I saw, it looked pretty damn good in there. I think they could have.
Didn't translate on television. That's all.
Yeah. It didn't. Like, that's all it is. It literally didn't look well in the camera. And when I say it could have been better, people were just like, "Ow!" with the spark, camera tricks, baby.
We've seen
smoke and mirrors, baby.
But there was also a malfunction though too. More should have went off. More should have been detonated. There was a problem. I think there was like a problem with one of the switches. But also at the same time too, if you watched any of the Japanese exploding barbed wire death matches, most
camera
of these
tricks.
are done. Not even camera tricks, but most of them are done where the crowd's 20 feet away, or they're in like a, you know what I mean? Like, if you ever watch old FMW matches,
but that's
you're
what
gonna see some, like,
that's what I'm saying though. Like, they have a whole football field right over there. They could have put it right in the football field,
which they could have, and they should have, and that way you could explode everything without shards of just stuff.
Yeah,
it's right there.
I think, like, not to sound like a pyrotechnic expert, but I think there definitely could have been, not sparklers. Like, I think the sparklers is what like added insult to injury, honestly. But like, I think if they would have had something that produced more heavy smoke, like a smoke bomb, like the little tiny firework joint, and you use the ring post cameras that shows like Eddie Kingston like just holding Moxley, and then you just have one of the smoke bombs like covering the mirror. I think that covering the camera, I think that would have just made it look better. But all the explosions and all the stuff like that, I thought it was like whatever.
Yeah. But to talk about the match, I think the match was fine. These kind of matches, it can be limiting. There's no ropes.
Yeah.
Brutal. I think it's a good brutal spots. I appreciated the first 5 minutes, them teasing, even, anybody touching the ropes or getting electrocuted or shocked, whatever it is. Good pacing, very creative for I'm not like a death match connoisseur. I've seen exploding barbed wire matches before. I've seen, death matches. Different. I haven't seen one like this before. I thought maybe a little long, but besides that, it was good. My only complaint was the ending. I'm not even gonna blame the competitors for that. It just it's the situation that happened. Like, everybody made their jokes online. Like, it is what it is. Like, I saw people trying to like say this like AEW dead or whatever off that. It's like,
No, nobody was nobody was
Yeah.
saying that. That's big cap.
Yeah, like shit happened. It is what it is. I just kind of feel bad for Eddie Kingston, but even on Dynamite this week,
Hey,
they did the
put
best
it-
they could. They did the
yeah.
best they could. Like
They put a bandage on it, but
it's
it was
funny
better.
as, like-
It was better than doing nothing.
it's funny as someone, like, personally, I suffer from anxiety and things like that. So like you can't really poo poo on.
I get that, but when he was mentioning jail, like him about to serve jail time, I was just like, all right, let's dial it back.
But like, I mean, they did the best they could. I think
it was fine.
Eddie Kingston and John Moxley are good enough talkers, and Kenny are good enough talkers to the point where like they can fix this situation, and people are gonna forget about this
situation in a promo yesterday. They killed.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm always stuck in 1998. B. It was the best. Their money together, and now that they're a tag team. Listen, that match.
I great. Yeah, the for exploding barbed wire death matches, I don't see many. I mean, it was serviceable. It was okay. Like it is what it is. On it, like that's kind of more or less how I feel about it. And I did think the promo that they did, it's better than saying, "Oh, Kenny Omega and Impact didn't really do it well," and I was just that's not cool.
I will give them credit for that. For the situation they were in, they did it to the best they could.
Yeah.
Real quick before
just
talk about the ending of Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate the double angle. But I'm gonna be honest with you just before we go, because I'm not gonna try to get
no. It's cool.
I don't care about that MJF faction. That's the most fine. I think all of them are fine wrestlers, but I'm be honest, they do nothing for me. FTR did nothing for me. Sean Spears did nothing for me. I think they're fine wrestlers, but it feels very just kind of generic.
Yeah, this is the four horsemen that people desperately wanted when they were tweeting at AEW. They're finally. You can't say they don't listen to fans. They're finally getting it. My thing is what the situation is. You were on Chris Jericho's hip for the past 3 months. Where the hell did you have the time to form this faction? And now
I hope they explain it a little better.
And now that you are a part of this new faction, who is truly in charge? Is MJF in charge, or is Tully Blanchard in charge?
No, it's Tully Blanchard is in charge because he's Tully. Okay. He's Tully fucking Blanchard.
Well, that's how it should be.
We will see. We'll see, because it already seems like MJF doesn't really play well with others and doesn't like taking orders. So I think
Tully is the Belichick, and MJF could be the Brady. And you always need the play caller, but you need somebody to go out there and be suave and debonair and speak and do all the actions that you can't do in the ring. So I think it's cool. I think that you explain it easily, where they were going to jump MJF in a circle. Tully's sitting back there with the boys, and he's like, no. I like this kid. Let's go out there and save him. Wardlow was already part of that squad anyway, so Wardlow's out. Let's grab him. Let's go. It's a real simple, easy explanation. I don't think we really need to get into I don't think it needs to be overcomplicated. I think it's the right amount of all right, let's do it, and let's just see where it goes. But do we need another stable in AEW? That's the question.
No,
especially if they start another stable too with Matt Hardy and his boys with Private Party and Butcher and Blade. So.
It seems like the Kingston family is done for now. I think that's very weird, but the new four horsemen, that's going to be their thing, and Inner Circle as faces. You're going to have to do some heavy work but for me to be sympathetic about Jericho, Jay Hager, and LAX, or Pride and Powerful. It is what it is. And then just to wrap this up, Christian Cage versus Kenny Omega should be an interesting match whenever that happens. I don't know. The next pay-per-view is pretty far away, so we'll see how they manage and navigate through that. Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky, excellent match, fantastic. Definitely one of my favorite matches this week. The Yeah, the 6-man tag between the women. It was cool. It was cool to see Maki Ito do her thing. Like they absolutely let her do her thing, and I thought that was cool.
So
I tweeted, put the belt on Maki Ito.
Oh,
Just do it.
absolutely.
Just put the
She-
championship on Maki Ito.
she's widely loved. And yeah, it's glad to see her on Dynamite. We'll see how much they use her going forward, or her and Rio Mizunami.
Yeah.
So should be interesting. But that is it for our show. You can follow me at H_visibility on Twitter. You can follow Quan at the Comeback Spot. You can follow Emilio Sparks at Emilio Sparks and Wrestle Rap.
Yeah, this stuff. I mean, just follow me. I do it all. I don't know.
Yeah.
Quan, we got to get you on Wrestle Rap. You got to come back.
I would love to go. on Wrestle
Definitely. Cool and fun conversations on there.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about wrestling. Maybe we won't. I don't know.
Yeah.
It happens. Eventually.
We some East Coast kids, so we got a lot of stuff in common, man. I'm from Connecticut. I don't know if you know where I'm from, so I'm right next door, bro.
Bro, I hated that fucking drive to Connecticut every day, bro.
Where were you going? Oh, were you going to Sanford?
Duh.
Yeah. Yeah. So
how is it 3 hours of traffic to come home, bro? How does that happen?
Standard highway thing.
You know what I mean? You know how it go.
Yeah, I know. It was just a time vortex that would just suck the ever-loving life force out of me.
For sure.
But yeah, man, we definitely gotta have you back on site. You definitely gotta come back on. New episodes every Saturday. So if you want to come and hang out with me in the Mighty Vin, you could do that. Follow us if you want to wax poetics about professional wrestling. WRASSLERAP. Big shout out to you guys. Big shout out to everybody else on the A Show, Wheels, Johnny Five. I appreciate you guys, man. Thank you. This was fun.
Yeah,
appreciate you, man.
And yeah, that's our show. See you next week. I absolutely can't wait for the main event of Dynamite this week. I think it's going to get the live watch first. We'll see. But peace out, everybody.